Marriage is difficult, Captain Kara of Imperial House Zoo said rhetorically to her husband as she looked at her reflection in the floor-length mirror. She was wearing her black Alliance Fleet uniform. Her ranking jewelry, which marked her as a captain and from an important Imperial house, hung awkwardly over her full-term pregnancy. Admiral Tyr came up behind her. He held Kara's brown eyes through the reflection.
I promise you, after we accomplish this, it will be easier to be my wife.
He ran his hands over her extended stomach.
Are you sure you want to do this now?
Kara turned to look up into Tyr's gray face, meeting his green Alliance eyes. His long black hair was uncharacteristically braided down his back. He was ready for a fight today. How can you ask me that? It must be now, before Admiral J has time to gain more followers. Now that Jane Johnson was back as the goddess of humanity, their men's movement was being split. Kara knew there would be no way to overtake the government unless they had the military's full support.
But our daughter's life?
Tyr asked, referring to their unborn child. She will take the risk of dying just like we all will. Now, are you ready? Your mind needs to be focused. This is going to be the most difficult part, convincing most of the fleet that is still loyal to Admiral J to join us.
I'm ready,
Tyr said, and pulled Kara in for a long kiss. Kara pulled away after a few seconds. No time like the present. She donned her exquisite women's short sword and Imperial gun around her hips. Let's do this. Tyr followed Kara out of his quarters on the Imperial Alpha warship Rifa. They went to the shuttle bay and took a transport over to the Key, the Imperial Fleet flagship. For the last 3 hours, their small, rebellious fleet of 35 ships had been surrounded by the larger part of the fleet still loyal to Admiral J, and this representation was true for the rest of the fleet throughout the galaxy. Although their ships now were still in the heliosphere, they were incredibly close to the Imperial bow shock. The closest place military ships were allowed to congregate without breaking the High Council's laws concerning a fleet coming too close to the home planets. Tyr had followed Kara's command to just wait with their fleet, even though it felt very wrong to do so. But he trusted Kara more than anyone else in the galaxy. He knew it would only be through her strategic brilliance that they would succeed, and he needed to have absolute faith in her abilities. After some time of their rebellious fleet doing nothing while surrounded by those loyal to J, Kara calmly announced to every ship in the vicinity that she was going over to the Key to discuss what the entire fleet should do next. Of course, the Rifa's communications immediately afterward were in a flurry with replies from the other ships, from both sides, asking her what she meant. Kara had instructed the communications officer to send the same message back to every ship. Hold your position. Kara and Tyr were on their way over to the Key in a transport with no guards. Kara had assured Tyr that after the wait and her message, no one would fire on them. That they were showing their ultimate trust in the fleet by putting themselves in such a position with no guards. Tyr had to admit it was bold and brave, and he would have never had the courage to do it without Kara. Kara looked out the window into the fleet, dozens of the top starships of the Alliance all waiting. She imagined each captain watching with their finger on the trigger to shoot them down. She hoped none of them would accidentally fire. However, she reminded herself, this plan will work because this is not the human fleet. This is the Imperial fleet. Everyone follows orders, and the Admiral will want to speak to us first rather than incite a violent faction in his fleet, no matter how annoyed he is. Tyr mistook her silence for doubt.
We could still revert to my original plan.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.